This was the sole of our hoof last visit, and if you think it's any better this time, then you may be in for a shock. This is the Hoof GP.
And I won't let it rush when I see you dance, and the moment comes when I fall and time goes slow. I fall into you.
So this cow was in a couple of weeks ago, and looking at this front left foot, she was in a terrible state. We removed the whole of this front left foot sole, and this is what we were left with. She is back in today, and this is the Hoof GP. As we lift our foot up here, you can see it's covered in muck, obviously. These cows live in dirty environments by their very nature. They produce a lot of slurry and manure, and unfortunately, it ends up on the floor, obviously. These farms are cleaned constantly. Every hour and a half, they're scraped up by automatic scrapers, but it still means their feet get dirty. Anyway, let's take a little look back at the whole of that first trim. So when we first lifted this front left foot up, it looked fairly good. I remember telling you guys that there was a major problem lurking though, and it wasn't long before we found that problem. The sole delaminated all the way back from the heel bulb down to a couple of centimeters away from her toe. Her corium was completely exposed, and it was full, or rather covered, in dermatitis. So we trimmed it off, and actually I was really happy with how the trim went. We got every bit, every shred, every tiny little minuscule part of detached hoof horn away, but that dermatitis was going to prevent it from completely healing, because as the hoof horn regrows, dermatitis eats it away. So we wrapped it with salicylic acid, and we applied a TP block, a plastic one that would last a long time, and we hoped that BoviBond would hold it in place for long enough for this little cow to heal. So anyway, fast forward a couple of weeks, and obviously we are back. So here's how her foot's looking today. That's remnants of the wrap that was in there still stuck to her foot. Okay, getting this clean is going to take absolutely forever. And rather than clean it for you guys and keep her in the crush longer than she needs to be, I'm just going to crack on and get trimming. You see, sometimes it really doesn't make any difference cleaning it all away, I'll be honest. In this instance, it probably will, so I'm going to continue cleaning it because I'm struggling to know exactly what bits need to be removed. Okay, so as this is cleaning up, we can see that it clearly hasn't completely healed. But if we flash this up today as it is right now and compare it to last time, you can see that it is closing in. It grows from the outside in the way. And this part was completely open last time, whereas it's not today. We do need to go ahead and remove all of this to reveal the true extent of what it looks like today. And that's what we're just about to do.
Any lesion involving digital dermatitis can be an absolute nightmare for both us and the cow. They tend to track up behind the wall horn through the white line and keep infecting areas as they travel.
Oh wow, we can see that this has actually progressed all the way up in here. You see if there's an infection in behind this hoof wall, it'll just keep tracking all the way up, and unless that infection's there at the time, then obviously we don't want to remove any more than we absolutely have to. This is looking messy. If we look at these folds, these leaves, and if we zoom right in, these are what hold this part of the hoof to this part of the hoof. These are the laminae, and it's the perfect example of them in use. But this part of the hoof has come away from it because this has been inflamed. It's literally pushed it away, and we've just left with the interior lamina corium. The lamina corium, there's a technical term. It's one of the most important structures in the whole hoof. It's what actually suspends the inside of our hoof from the hoof wall. You see, a cow's foot isn't sitting on the ground, it's actually being suspended from the inside of the hoof. It's hanging inside the hoof, it's not being propped up. So tough.
Because of this toughness and me having to put so much force through the blade of the knife to make my cuts, I switched back to the grinder to speed up the process and hopefully not have to exert so much force through her hoof.
Wow, this is looking worse than ever. When we first picked it up, I was really encouraged by what we saw. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed. This isn't a case of you win some, you lose some. This is a case of you win some, and some take a bit longer.
A huge part of healing these cows' feet is perseverance. It's returning again and again to better the results. It's not giving up. It's doing absolutely everything we can in the fight against lameness for these cows. A massive part of it is knowing that you are progressing. Sometimes you have setbacks, sometimes not. But the vast majority of the time, if you put the work, the time, the effort, and the sheer determination into healing these cows' feet, we can do it. This shouldn't be viewed as a setback. It should be viewed as the next step in the process.
Okay, so we're going to use the grinder again to thin out this toe area. It's still slightly too high, and clearly if you look at the proportions, it's a little too long and pointy, if you know what I mean. So we're going to trim it back to where it should be. Then, once that's done, we whip out the spray and clean this off as much as we possibly can. We need this to be absolutely spotless. We're going to wrap it again with salicylic acid and iodine, and it did do a good job. If we look at this portion, it's completely healed. Up here has healed, but the infection has travelled up the inside of our wall, higher up our hoof here. We need to get all of this healed, and the salicylic acid and iodine did such a good job here and here. It clearly does work. So Craig's wrapping it right now. He's not going to use too much bandage as he does this. He's going to use plenty of iodine and plenty of salicylic acid, and that wrap is going to stay on for about 4 to 5 days. At this point, I want to say I'm really happy with the trim, and I am really happy with the trim, but I said that last time. We did do everything we possibly could, and I'm genuinely looking back at the old images from her first visit. I'm happy with it. I really am. I don't think there was much more we could do. Sometimes it's just the nature of the beast. And that right now, folks, is the end of this trimming story so far for this little cow. Hopefully we'll be back again in a couple of weeks to see how progresses with this hoof. Hopefully it's better on the third try, although we have progressed. It's just gone in a slightly different direction this time, as is sometimes the case. For now though, folks, we'll catch you later. Bye! What? Okay. You haven't even said bye. He's mocking me and he's still not said bye. She's actually walking pretty much perfectly, but the block is what's doing the work. Catch you next time, folks. Bye.